With our most recent 4th of July holiday marred by another mass shooting in a Chicagoland suburb, it seems that mass shootings are becoming an almost weekly occurrence in America. As we learned, though, with the Chicagoland suspect, all of the guns he'd purchased legally, and there were additional guns at his home and elsewhere, in a state and city with among the most stringent gun laws in the nation. Chicago also suffers from the nation's highest homicide rate, often black-on-black crime, which doesn't receive a lot of media attention or focus. Yes, our America has a gun problem, but it also appears to have a problem with young white men who in many cases are potentially sociopathic. These young men live on a daily diet on their phones, tablets, and PCs of Doom, Fortnite, and Mortal Kombat, as well as pornography. The first three are online video games. I'll let you figure out where the fourth of those fits into the equation. There have been psychological studies on this for decades, pointing out that these video games and the way they downplay the impact of violence and sexual aggression and their impact on young minds. And yet, as a society, we never seem willing to discuss these problems or their impact on mental health of young people and adolescents. In the case of the Chicagoland shooting, this gunman apparently had threatened his own life as well as threatened to harm members of his own family for more than 3 years. No action was taken to prevent him from owning firearms or being the shooter on the 4th of July. I am a gun owner. I have a .38 and a double-barreled shotgun at home. They're both secured and loaded. They're there for the protection of our family. I've never aimed a weapon at another human, though I've been shot at twice. I've only shot skeet and other targets, except for a couple of bird hunts, each more than 20 years ago. I try to get into the shooting range on a regular basis to train and maintain safely the weapons that we do have. That said, I do think it's past time for some additional common sense gun reforms. Universal registration, requiring the training for owning high caliber and capacity weapons, additional regulation on the ownership of automatic assault weapons, close the gun show and family gift ownership loophole, background checks with a national database, and red flag laws with some limits on law enforcement and local governments in the way that they can label someone as being at risk to harm themselves or others. The most recent federal law signed by President Joe Biden does provide some additional mental health funding, as well as give law enforcement for the first time access to juvenile records so they can be on the lookout for potential future problems or violent shooters. Representing multiple municipalities and police agencies and sheriff's departments across Georgia, I can tell you how law enforcement is already outgunned and outmanned with the .38 revolver they're carrying up against the gang member who probably has an AK-47 in the trunk of their car or underneath their front seat. The firepower match here is not even close. While we do need to do more about guns, a gun confiscation program or taking guns away from law-abiding consumers today would only put guns in the hands or keep them in the hands of people willing and able to break the law. We would be in a situation where only outlaws would have guns. In the cyber world where human life can seem somehow meaningless and killing a cop can actually bring you points, what kind of lessons do we think our children are learning? We need to pull out some hoses and cool off the heat on some of those games, which in my mind is almost as dangerous as the weapons some of those more fragile minds may later come to possess. We need to understand what our kids are watching, who our kids are watching with, and what they're doing with that time. With one opinion, I'm Bill Crane.